hopefully.
Yeah, I see a thing on here that says it's streaming live.
It is streaming. Yeah, this now says your meeting is now streaming live. And Farouk, you see it? You see us coming live on Facebook?
Yeah, I see it now.
Awesome. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our usual guests on Sundays with Sabina, Farouk, Dave, and Adil. Thank you for joining us every Sunday. This is the last in its series of Sundays with Sabina as far as the campaign goes. Hopefully, if elected mayor, I will be doing our live meetings as a mayor. I know the mayor's breakfast is quite popular, and I will certainly, if elected, continue the mayor's breakfast. Either ways, I've enjoyed this so much, connecting with everybody online and kind of giving updates every week. And I didn't know this was getting popular. I was in a roundtable the other day with some of the women leaders that are running in the area, and they said, yeah, we've enjoyed your Sundays with Sabina. We've copied some of those. And actually, I ended up having coffee with one of the candidates who said, well, let's grab coffee before your Sundays because, we just want to last 2 days. Everybody wants to kind of de-stress now. We've done so much hard work up to this campaign that I think, like Adil just mentioned before we started, it's time to just celebrate now all the hard work. My volunteers made 900 calls yesterday, which was phenomenal. I don't know, as voters, probably some people are like done with the calls and the text messages and all the campaign stuff that's being thrown your way, but that's the way we're getting the word out. So I used to, in the good old days, before COVID, I used to love canvassing, knocking on doors, talking to people. This has been in lieu of, it's a different way of canvassing and knocking on doors and leaving messages on answering machines. But, that's the way we've really connected with a lot of our residents. And I just have to say, thank you to everybody who's been such a big part of this campaign. Everybody who's been making phone calls, dropping literature, text banking, getting the word out, sending out emails. It's been such a grassroots effort. Some of the candidates which are running for the first time are now, they're like, we have a newfound respect for people who've been doing this for a while, because it is a little bit crazy. Normal people, don't do this, but the rewards are so amazing that you get to serve your community, you get to represent your community. So yes, it's hard work. Campaigning is a little bit crazy. It takes a lot. And hard work pays off always. And the connections you build, and I can't even tell you how many connections and people I met as part of the campaign that have become lifelong friends. People in San Ramon that I never would have met if it wasn't for putting myself out there and campaigning and running these last 4 years now. So just want to say, yes, it's crazy, but it's totally worth for those of us that truly enjoy serving our communities. So this has certainly been a very unprecedented election, I would say. People have been, in California and Contra Costa, we've historically heavily voted by mail, but at this point, ballots already in. I think after this weekend, we'll see a much bigger number. But I was just looking at how many people have voted, and in San Ramon, it's 56% of all voters, which is probably about 60 to 70% of the likely universe, people who actually go out and vote. There's still going to be people that won't vote, so I encourage you. In San Ramon, we have now 48,000 registered voters. And of those, 27,000 have already voted. So we have about 20,000 that could still vote, that are probably voting over the weekend. And those of you that haven't voted, do make a plan, vote, because it's so important that we get, really vote in this election. It's just, there's so many things which are changing, and just want to say that how important this election is and how important your vote is really in determining who represents you. I had some interesting conversations with some of my friends in other cities, And it's surprisingly, right, we are looking at who's on top of the ballot. But when it comes to local races, a lot of people still end up not voting. Like 20% of the people statistically don't vote. And I actually talked to a couple of friends and I'm like, you should have just called me and I would have told you who to vote, because every single name on that ballot is important. Cities, I mean, your council and mayors are very, very important. Obviously, making decisions at the local level, the budget, things that really touch you day to day. Congressional folks are very important. Congress races are important, but when it comes to talk about what's happening locally, your local races are very important. I know I had a lot of folks call me about and ask me about the fire board, about the water board, about the sanitation district. Those are all elected positions. Those are people representing you. And it's important to know to vote for the right person. I mean, fires are such a big, concern for everybody right now. And our fire board is very important in making those decisions. Our water is something we take for granted, but if there was a drought and we ran out of water, how is the water board really planning for the future of water and making sure it's clean, making sure it's available, making sure we have the right level of reserves and things like that. So just everybody voting, pay attention. If you don't know who to vote for, feel free to text me. I can give you my recommendation on people that I have actually talked to and feel, they are the qualified candidate to represent us. So a lot of these, BART again is another one where we all take BART, we complain about it, but there are people that are representing us from our communities that can actually be our voice on there. So I would say, take time. Everybody's got their phone numbers on their websites now. Everybody's got a way to reach them. Reach out to them, have a conversation. One of the best ways that we're able to represent is by hearing from our residents, because that's what representation is all about. How do we represent your voice at the table? And the more conversations I have, I enjoy people reaching out to me, texting me, calling me, and asking me to talk to them why I'm running, what's important in my platform. And so that's why I put myself out there, because the most important job of a mayor, in my opinion, is being available to the residents. So just vote, vote, vote. Since we are, this is the last elections, you've probably gotten a lot from my campaign. I had these 3 flyers I wanted to share. We had postcards, obviously, which everybody wrote, and those got to mailboxes. We had this flyer earlier on, right around the time the ballots dropped, if you can see some of this. And we, talked about it. And then this one, the last one that came out, is how everybody's supporting and some of the residents and everybody, if you can see this. So, those came out. Obviously the yard signs are out there. San Ramon is doing a very interesting project with the yard signs. They've asked the parks, actually folks have asked us to donate our yard signs to them after the campaign. They're going to completely paint them over and do some project with it. I'm very excited to see how they will be reused for a new project. So I said, I'm happy to donate as many as you want, if that can turn into an art project and something that the city can, put somewhere as an art piece. So I'm excited to do what they're going to, do with that. If you do have our yard signs, just my number is pretty much on that yard sign. Text me, let me know. I'll come by, pick it up, or you can message me and I can tell you where to drop it off. San Ramon has a pretty good, actually, ordinance around yard signs, which I know a number of other cities asked me if they could copy. So we have to pick our yard signs within 10 days of the campaign, clean out the entire city, and otherwise you do get fined for at least not picking up the yard signs from the public places. I know sometimes they keep sitting in people's garages, and 2 years later we're like, yeah, you can put them out there again. So I counted, we had about 400 yard signs and about 10 of the big ones out there somewhere. So that'll be the work the day after the campaign. I like to pick it up as quickly as possible, clean up the city. And, even sometimes the night off. And then tomorrow we have an exciting event with Congressman Eric Swalwell, who's coming out to support our campaign. We will be message me if you know exactly we're meeting in a park in a socially distanced way. He's going to come out, support the campaign. We will have a few more elected officials to talk about why they're supporting the campaign. Also a big, huge thank you to all the volunteers. Just get everybody excited and rallied about Tuesday. And so join us if you can at 4:30 tomorrow, and message me for the address and I'll send it over to you. What else? So that's kind of what's going on. I know a couple of Friday I met with Dave, and Dave and I both are on the San Ramon Arts Foundation, and we talked about some of the cool things we want to do with the Arts Foundation. So Dave, do you want to say a few things?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the reasons I'm supporting Sabina is, she's a big supporter of the arts, but beyond that, it's just not about supporting the arts. I think she understands that art's kind of a way to bridge community, to bring community together. And I think there's a lot going right with San Ramon, but I think we can actually do a lot better job about bringing the community bringing the community together. So, I mean, I'll just talk generally about maybe some of the ideas, but I think, for example, we could utilize Central Park and our parks better. If you look right now, there's a scarecrow scavenger hunt going on. And this didn't take a lot of effort necessarily on the city. We just asked the community to kind of participate in it and to put scarecrows. So, if you're out walking Central Park, I walked this guy on Friday, and we took a look at some of the scarecrows. So, I mean, I think more events like that, whether it's doing live theater, having people participate during holidays, cultural events, things like that, is something. I think figuring out better ways to partner with Bishop Ranch and City Center, sort of bringing art as a focus to bring people together, and it's also fun. I think that this thing, art can be fun, and we can, as a community, can have fun with that. I would also like to say, we certainly don't think we have all the ideas. So if there are people who, there are events you'd like to see or things you'd like to see more of, I, welcome feedback, and, feel free to reach out anytime. I'm more than happy to listen and present some of these ideas. I also serve on the San Ramon Arts Advisory Committee. So, the Arts Foundation and the Arts Advisory Committee are trying to figure out ways where we can work together sort of with the private and public to, bring more stuff to you folks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, like Dave said, really art is the common language that we all speak and come together, whether it's performing arts, theatrical arts, pictures, sculptures, things that we can really bring people together around. And I did the scarecrow walk with my volunteers yesterday. So, they'd been working so hard, and they're like, do you want to do something for Halloween? And so 2-3 of them came out, and we actually did the scavenger hunt. We took some pictures. We were able to find, I think there were 24. We were able to find 22. Yeah. Some of them were hidden and were worth a lot of points. But that was fun, walking around and finding all these different scarecrows and all the different organizations. And it was the Arts Foundation had a couple out there that, that one of our representatives did. And all the foundations had their basically scarecrows, and some businesses had theirs. And so it was really fun to see, how creative people can get if you just ask them, yeah, hey, what does your scarecrow look like? And so we certainly enjoyed that. Again, my volunteers were like, okay, what else are we going to do now that the holidays are coming? I'm like, give me ideas. I would love to hear what you guys like to see and do. And there were a lot of people in, Central Park, actually, interestingly, having picnics. And there was a group that was dancing out there so it was nice to see that people are out and about and celebrating in our community. So I would love to see, as we push more and more for the arts here in San Ramon. I was at the farmers market Saturday again, kind of the last in the series of going out there and talking to folks. And there were a lot of little trick-or-treaters coming around. A lot of people seem to have voted. It was good to hear people telling me they voted for me, or they're going to vote. And so I appreciated all the support. I would say, people are just really, what I'm seeing is a lot of people are just very motivated to get out the vote. There were, interestingly, some candidates standing at some corners. There were some candidates just doing walks. So, we're still getting out in some ways and canvassing and getting out the word. But in the end, it's, we all want to make sure we vote. Some of the other things, which I would say were happening in San Ramon, I could give some updates there. We have this development agreement that we are working through, and the next council meeting is going to be, the council will be looking at the development agreement as part of the 4,500 homes, the City Walk Master Plan. That we've approved now, and now the development agreement and how San Ramon benefits from that, because a lot of people have asked me about it. And what what we've approved is, again, a city walk downtown plan, which keeps housing in the core and the center of the city versus in our hills and our neighborhoods. But what we also get out of it is either a monetary benefit, of Sunset paying San Ramon a certain amount of dollars, or we get to develop, as part of this development agreement, some more parks in San Ramon. And so I know people have been talking about it. That's been an important topic. And I would say to attend our city council meetings. They are on YouTube. They are live broadcast and on Zoom, and it's easy for you to join, from your home. And we would love to hear questions from residents. Do reach out to me. Obviously, I continue to serve on the council. And so if there's any questions you may have for me, if there is, anything on Google, anything that I can answer about, what the city is doing, how we're planning for the city, how we're moving forward, what are the RENA numbers and things like that, and what the cities are tasked to do. Again, had a great conversation with people yesterday, even on I was out in the park waiting for my volunteers for the scavenger hunt, and a couple of people walked up and they're like, are you Sabina? And I was dressed up as Rosie the Riveter. And so she's like, you look a little different. I'm like, yeah, but apparently they recognized me. And we again had an interesting discussion around what we're doing, what we're building, and people are excited. When we think about how San Ramon is growing, San Ramon is becoming a destination in so many ways, and there are so many cities which are following and trying to see what San Ramon has created in terms of growth. We can't go away from growth, right? We are, as a state, we're growing. As a country, we're growing. People are still moving to California, despite the fact that people think people are moving away from California. Surprisingly, people are still moving to California, and we have a young population. I'm noticing more and more. I'm talking to younger people who have now moved back home. They're either with their parents, because we really don't have a whole lot of housing for our young residents, where they can be in a 1-bedroom or a studio or something like that. So it'll be good to have that opportunity for our young residents. I was talking to one of the folks in Walnut Creek, and again, that's what they said. They have a much higher percent of younger people. And I'd actually was talking to a CEO of a company, and he told me, he's like, yeah, we're going to be living in Walnut Creek because it's just me and my wife. And we really don't, San Ramon, where do we live? We would like to be able to walk. And so that's the future of San Ramon that we're looking at. We are still in the middle of, I would say, negotiations and planning this out and seeing how we really are able to negotiate the best deal for San Ramon. And residents can very much be a part of this. We always welcome feedback. We have a Crow Canyon specific plan that was in front of council, which we're calling we're going to be calling it the San Ramon Village Plan, because the whole idea is to build this walkable, bikeable, livable village in the heart of San Ramon. So all those plans are going to decide what the future of the city looks like. And the future is that we, part of our general plan is that we keep it all downtown. at the core and build housing which suits, kind of a younger generation and an older retired generation as well. And we continue to maintain the quality of life for people who do live along the hills, who have open spaces behind their backyards, because we don't want to build anything there. So it's going to be, I'm excited. I'm really excited, and some of the cool things that are happening in San Ramon. But that means you have to elect the right people as well. People do ask me, why you and why not somebody else, and what differentiates you from the other candidates. And what differentiates me from the other candidates is, one, that I have the experience now on serving on council for the last couple of years. The fact that I was appointed the vice mayor by my council, and they put a lot of confidence in that, is an important thing. But I also, along with that experience, I also am energized. I'm out there. I'm very much an extrovert, introvert, depending on the time of the day, but very much an extrovert. I like to go out. I like to talk to people. And you need a mayor who's very approachable, a mayor who you can call and text and responds to you, somebody who shows up at events but is also out there, and you can say, hey, you're the mayor, I have this thing, and how can you represent this back? Because that's how you become good as a mayor, as a representative. And that's why I continue to talk about being a representative more than anything else, that you want to represent everybody, people who may not have the time, who may not be able to advocate for themselves. San Ramon is a young city. Our average population is 39. And we do want to build a city which is welcoming and has things for us middle-aged people to do as well. I know we've done a great job as a community for young kids. We've done a great job for our seniors. What I noticed raising my kids, right, as they grew into more of a later teen, young adult, myself, there were less things for us to do here initially. With City Center, that came up a couple of years ago. I know that's become such a destination where we go and meet, and it's kind of becoming the heart and core of San Ramon. So, I'm excited again, for the walkable, bikeable district that we're going to be building, with the city walk, with the overpass that's going to come across from one side of Iron Horse Trail to the other, crossing over Bollinger. That should be happening, hopefully in a couple of years as well. I know some people have been waiting for it for 20 years, but it is now happening. It is in the process. We're in the process of picking the design team, and and the contractor and all of that stuff. So that's moving along well. And then we're going to, I'm seeing our young people very, very involved. I don't think I've seen our young generation that involved. And these are the kids that have grown up in San Ramon, and now they're either back home because of COVID and they can work from home, and they're living with their families, or, they've decided to come back to San Ramon because we've got a generation that went to our high schools and now they're raising their families. And so they're coming back to San Ramon to call it home again. And they have a lot of questions, and they're very engaged, and they want to know what we are doing. So that connects me with the young people as well as our seniors, which I'm very, very connected with. And to hear end to end everybody who cares about San Ramon and what they want to talk about. Some of the other candidates have not had the experience of being elected, and it does take a little bit of time for you to navigate and understand how local government works. So it's I think I would still say we would want anybody who's involved and engaged to serve on our committees and commissions. But as a mayor, I think you want somebody who knows how to, what the lay of the land is, how it all works, and jump into it day one. Because as mayor, you have to run every 2 years. So if you just take the 2 years just to ramp up on how things are done, and then there's an election another 2 years, it kind of, doesn't give you enough of a time to really get things done. So I feel like I'm right at that, point where as your mayor, stepping into that role will give me the leadership, where I already have the relationships and everything in place, where it's like, okay, now let's see how do we start leading the city forward. I know one of the council members has been there for a while, and I really appreciate his service to the city. But I feel, he's not that extrovert and not that connected and out there with the community, where people can walk up and say things. So we all continue to serve, but I think as mayor, I would be able to bring that experience and that energy, which really our city needs right now, as we've changed, as we've evolved, but as we're also finding a way to build community in San Ramon. And community is probably the most important thing for me. Like Dave said, I'm constantly thinking of what is going to make this a home which people want to put their roots in and say, oh, we're so excited, we want to participate, we want to be part of this journey in San Ramon. So those are all the things I am asking for your vote. And if you haven't voted, asking you to go out and vote Sabina for mayor. My name is the first one on the ballot under mayor. I would appreciate you to bubble that in. Talk to your friends. Some of your friends still may not know who's running for mayor, may have questions. Let them know, get the word out. I think we have 3 more days to go. Well, I'm counting Sunday as well, but we're sprinting here. But till the last minute, we can get the word out, and people who are undecided or haven't voted, just 20,000 voters in San Ramon haven't voted yet. So they might be sitting on the ballots for a reason. They might be undecided about the local level. They might just, bubble in that first page and forget about the rest of the pages. So reach out to them, ask them to vote. And that's kind of, a wrap for me. I am really going to miss having, obviously, these Sundays. It's been, I've gotten comfortable with it, but I've also enjoyed, doing these Sundays. And again, Dave and Farouk and Adil, I really appreciate you guys showing up here on Zoom every single Sunday. It's been phenomenal. I've gotten to know all 3 of you as well over time, and again, build those partnerships, which I would say are lifelong. So thank you. Any parting words for this Sunday from either one of you?
There is a question on Facebook from,
Okay.
I don't know if you want to answer that.
Yes. What is the question?
Are you reading it or should I read it?
You want to put it in chat?
Chat says disabled.
Oh, for you. All right. Let me see. The question is on Facebook. You can read it because I think.
Okay. So there are 2 questions from David. He says, as a data analyst, as a data scientist, I'm very curious what plans you have to better leverage data to make decisions for the city.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is that one of your competitors who's running for mayor as well, and she mentioned our police force is understaffed, yet our police department had around $23 million in funding.
Yeah.
My question is, doesn't that seem like way too much for a force of only 70 officers? I know it's not perfect way of thinking about it, but that's 300K per officer.
Yeah. Both good questions. So the first one is, yes, data is probably, I'm also a bit of a data nerd, and I love, getting data about things. One of the things we're doing is traffic is where we're putting a lot of money towards gathering data, getting traffic data to really move traffic around better in our city. We're actually going to be setting up almost, if you will, a data center which people will be able to see, with the new configuration of City Hall, because that's probably the most important data that we're looking at right now. Again, with the cameras, PD cameras that we've installed, a lot of that is going to be very data driven, as to where we need safety more in parts of the city. The third thing, so one is with traffic, one is obviously with policing. We want to look at data better versus, officers having to be present everywhere. And then as far as, how do we manage our city budget? How do we provide services? I am constantly asking for getting that data, what the numbers are. Mental health has been one where, during COVID, a lot of that data has been coming in. So yes, I'm always asking for numbers. And if you have any ideas, feel free to reach out to me. Anything else you think the city could benefit from in terms of using data, we get data on our social media, on our communication engagement, social media engagement, because that tells us, right, how engaged are we, how many users do we have, what other ways do we find to reach our residents so that they're aware of what's going on in the city. So yeah, data is always something at top of my mind, and whenever I am looking for any answers, I like it to be driven by data to get the numbers. So thank you for that question. And the second was about policing. It's just not the officers. So there's a number of things that are happening in the police department. Think of the officers as people as well, because they do get the benefits of anybody who is an employee of the city. We do have quite a few officers that are now going to be retiring, so we will have pensions. Obviously, they have their cars and everything. We have brought that, it has been brought to council meetings that our budget has increased, and that's because of just the living wage increase that happens for anybody who's working in an organization. And essentially, San Ramon as a city is an organization, and we do pay for people that work here, and police officers, just like everybody else, are employees of the city. And we do have these negotiated rates, obviously, with the PD and with what we're paying them, because we have to pay the right wage to everybody as well. Having said that, we can certainly take a look. Always in the budget, we always take a look and see where our budget is being spent, how it's being spent. And so right now, most of it makes up for the pay of our officers. And then in addition to the cars they drive and some of those costs. Right. So I think we should wrap it up. Any parting words, Farouk, Adil, Dave?
All the best.
All right.
Yeah. Good luck on Tuesday. Everybody vote if you haven't already voted. So.
Yeah, we're going to be cheering for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks so much again. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys on Sundays. And hopefully we'll continue to hang out and ring in the bell for victory on Tuesday night. I was just looking at Contra Costa's elections Twitter feed, and they've got a picture of all these boxes which are ready to go the minute it's 8 p.m. here in California, so they can start counting those, unless somebody decided to vote on election day, then, and that was a question somebody asked, what if we decide to change our vote on election day? In that case, your ballot that you've turned in will not be counted, and your new ballot will be counted. So voting is happening in person, it started Friday. It's happening online, obviously. Continue to put in your ballots. You can still put it in the mail. People have had questions whether they can drop it in the regular mailboxes. Yes, you can. Or you can drop it in the 5 ballot locations that we have in San Ramon. And 2 of them are just drive up, where you drive up to it, drop it in there. So we've got multiple ways to make sure that your vote gets counted, your ballots get counted. So bring in make sure to vote, and thank you again. It's been awesome hanging out with everybody on Sundays. Thank you and bye.
Take care, guys.